Hello, everyone. This is Katrin with Disability Rights New York. Welcome to our podcast, Empire State of Rights, Closed Captioned. We are here to bring you information on the most relevant topics regarding disability rights and advocacy. Today, we have Ben Thapa, PAB's staff attorney at DRNY. He's here to discuss sidewalk snow and ice removal. Hi, Ben. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Great. So it's that time of year again where we're getting snow and ice, and it's affecting our streets and sidewalks. So can you tell us about the major accessibility issues regarding sidewalk snow and ice removal?
Yes, I can, Katrin. In the winter, most people generally get the idea that it's difficult to get around when there's snow and ice on the ground. But I think people forget that life gets harder for people with mobility and vision impairments. Snow and ice covers up travel routes, creates slippery situations, can create impassable barriers to travel, and the cold can cause batteries to run out of power faster. However, the biggest solvable issue is improper snow and ice removal. In general, those in charge of a property have the responsibility to clean snow and ice from the sidewalks adjacent to the property, but this has been a low priority for enforcement from cities and towns. As public entities, cities and towns have a responsibility to make their programs accessible to all residents, and that includes streets and sidewalks of that city and town. And enforcing snow and ice removal is one way to ensure accessibility, and New Yorkers with mobility and vision impairments know that snow and ice just isn't going to be cleared in a way that lets them get to where they need to go. The paths through the snow and ice are going to be non-existent or too narrow, the slippery spots won't be salted, and the unpredictability of travel routes may mean that the person might have to enter the road. We've seen people in power wheelchairs travel in roadways alongside cars. Most of the time, these people aren't doing this because they're happy to engage in risky behavior or because they feel that they can go wherever they want. It's because it's actually safer and faster to go on the road than to deal with the sidewalks in many cities and towns. The other side of this is that frequently travel is so difficult and lengthy after a winter storm that people with mobility or vision impairment stay inside their homes for days and days. This enforced hermitage can wear on a person or strain resources or jobs, especially with a few storms in quick succession.
So when should people make sure to follow these accessibility guidelines for proper snow and ice removal?
Well, city codes vary across New York. In Troy, New York, in the capital region, the city code calls for snow and ice removal to be finished by 10 a.m. the day after the day or night in which the snowfall occurred. That's a pretty easy code structure to understand. In New York City, the code is more complicated and goes by when the snow stops falling. If the snow stops falling between 7 and 4:49 p.m., the clearance has to happen within 4 hours. If the snow stops between 5 and 9 p.m., the clearance must happen within 14 hours. If it stops falling between 9 and 6:59 a.m., the clearance has to happen by 11 a.m. the next day. The easiest way to figure out when is to refer to your city code or ask the city or town administration. In the internet age, it's pretty easy to find your specific city code or find a phone number or address for your city or town administration to ask these questions.
So that does sound complicated, and it also doesn't sound like it's an ongoing effort, which seems strange to me. Is that the way that it is in most cities?
Yes. The general idea is that the snow and ice removal will get clear by the next day, but as you know, enforcement is generally pretty lax, and cities don't really like to spend the time sending people out to enforce or clear the snow or find people who don't clear the snow. So it just kind of ends up being a wait till the snow melts situation.
Wow. All right. So how can the public help prevent these issues?
I know it might sound like nagging or nitpicking, but call the city. In New York City, they want you to call 311 and provide a specific address. In the city of Troy, you call the city of Troy up and say, here's this business or here's this home that I need to get past the snow and ice. It's just too hard for me to get past, and I need this to be clear.
So you've done a lot of work in the Troy area regarding this issues. What advice do you have for residents and businesses in that area?
In general, the minimum pathway clearance in front of a home or business should be 36 inches. This allows a person using a power wheelchair or other mobility aid to use that path, and for people who don't, to get past that person if they need to. If there's a lot of foot traffic, aim for about 60 inches of clearance. This lets everybody get to where they need to go. People with young parents, just about every type of foot traffic can get by in a 60-inch clearance. And I also found out a little bit more about salt when I was looking this stuff up. Rock salt, otherwise known as sodium chloride and calcium chloride, can damage concrete significantly over the course of a northeastern winter. If we use potassium chloride or magnesium chloride or calcium magnesium acetate, ice will melt, but the sidewalks will be in much better shape, especially in the spring and summer when there's no snow and ice. We won't have that pitted, chewed up sidewalk that gives so many people a hard time.
Right. So there are different alternatives to use that can safely keep our sidewalks and streets from deteriorating underneath the salt during the snow and ice season. And I just wanted to go back to the length of clearing that needs to happen. So that's a much larger area than people might believe, or it is definitely much bigger than the average shovel. So getting out there and using a regular size shovel is certainly not going to be 36 inches long. You're going to have to do a little bit more work. Would that be fair to say?
Yes. There's all kinds of guidance about how to properly shovel online or in videos, and the general idea is that you start with that one pathway, as you mentioned, and then you go back and you shovel to the sides off of that to make it larger and larger.
And that's good information for people to know, and we can certainly put that area on the website underneath the podcast for people to reference easily. Well, Ben, it's been great talking to you today about this issue. Here in the Northeast, we have a lot of snow and ice, so this is very timely. I appreciate you coming in and talking to us. Thanks so much.
All right, everybody. Stay safe, and I hope you have a great time in the snow.
If you have any questions about snow removal in your city or town, please contact your officials in that city or town area. Empire State of Rights Closed Captioned has been brought to you by Disability Rights New York, your source for disability rights and advocacy. If you enjoyed our program, and we hope you did, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this post. If there is a subject you would like us to discuss, please email podcast@drny.org or comment below. Tune in next time, where we'll bring you more information on disability rights in the state of New York. The closed captioned version of this podcast is available on our YouTube channel.